Hi, everybody. Thank you so much for joining us for our PAVE virtual panel today. We're going to start very shortly. I'll start with some housekeeping items as folks funnel in from the waiting room, and then we'll get started. As a reminder, you can find all of our PAVE panels, including this one, on our YouTube channel at PAVE Campaign. We also share them on our website at pavecampaign.org and on our social media channels. So I want to welcome you all to PAVE's 132nd virtual panel. Today we're going to be talking about automation in public transit. My name is Caitlin Magny Miller. I'm PAVE's Communications Director. I'm going to be moderating today's conversation. And I want to start by letting our guests introduce themselves. We have an all-star lineup here featuring some of our member companies, ADASTEC, Imagry, and Mobileye. So let's get started with some introductions. Can you each tell us a bit about your role and what you do and what your company does when it comes to advancing public transit and mobility? Eran, would you like to start?
Hi, everyone. My name is Eran. I'm Imagry's CEO. At Imagry, we provide full stack software basically for autonomous driving across passenger vehicles and autonomous buses. So we do perception, motion planning, and control. Most of our business is currently providing autonomous buses to public transportation operators in Europe, Japan, and the US.
Great. Chris?
Hi, everyone. I'm Chris Lichtmannecker, Head of Business Development for Autonomous Mobility at Mobileye. My team drives the commercialization and go-to-market strategy for our Level 4 autonomous driving technology. And we build strategic partnerships with car makers, operators, TNCs, and also transit agencies. Mobileye, as a company, has been a global leader in advanced driver assistance systems for more than 25 years, with automation and safety at everything that we are doing at our core. And now we are applying that expertise to scale autonomous services, both in the private sector, but also in public transportation.
Wonderful. Thanks. And Cemre?
Hello, everyone. This is Cemre. I'm Product Management Director at ADASTEC, responsible for North America. I've been with ADASTEC over 5 years, and my background is in mechatronics engineering and power electronics and clean energy systems. ADASTEC is a Michigan-based company developing SAE Level 4 automated driving software platform for public transportation buses under the name platform called Flowride AI. We also have branch offices in Turkey, Netherlands, and Sweden. Our only focus is automating mid-size and full-size public transit buses, transit-grade buses through deep OEM relationships, integration, working directly with bus manufacturers like Carson to embed automation into the vehicle production line. In the US, we currently have buses in Buffalo, New York, Michigan, East Lansing, Michigan, and Orlando, Florida. We also received 10 vehicle orders that will be deployed across Georgia and Florida with a formal announcement next week. So our goal is to make automation practical beyond experimental by delivering reliable, passenger-ready and revenue service deployments.
Awesome. Thank you all so much. Chris, I'm going to come back to you and start with sort of a high-level question here. Public transit is often considered to be sort of a pillar of livable and sustainable cities. How do you see automation really enhancing public transit's role when it comes to creating safer, more efficient, and more connected urban environments?
Yeah. So there's a saying that I really like and appreciate. It's a rich country isn't one where everyone owns a car, but one where even the wealthy ones choose public transport. Because when transport is attractive, people use it. And you can see this in a lot of places around the world. It eases congestion, it cuts emission, it frees parking spaces, and just overall improves urban quality of life. The challenge that public transit is just facing today is reliability. Driver shortages and the aging workforce make it hard to deliver consistent, reliable, robust services, and autonomy can fill that gap. And it also opens the door to new modes and new models, like, for example, flexible ride pooling and shuttle services, And that complements also buses and trains, making transit more convenient and appealing. And in addition, public transport is often heavily subsidized today. And automation has the potential to lower costs by reducing the reliance on large human driver workforces. So it's not just a tech upgrade, it's really a strategic tool for sustainable and viable public transport in cities across the world.
Yeah, I think you make some great points. It sounds like there are a lot of opportunities to really improve urban areas with some of these automation solutions. And Cemre, I want to turn over to you and talk a little bit more about the technical elements. ADASTEC's Level 4 platform FlowRide AI has been part of several different deployments and pilot projects. What are some of the biggest technical or operational challenges in automating a full-size bus or shuttle compared to a smaller vehicle like a robotaxi? And how have you approached those challenges?
Yeah, it's a great question because people usually ask, oh, you do buses, why don't you do trucks or other things? So automating a full-size bus is fundamentally different from automating especially a small vehicle. Technically, buses are very complex systems. Automation isn't just about controlling the steering or throttle. You also need to have the control of doors, you have to control kneeling functions, passenger detection, accessibility systems, interior safety logic. So all that must be fully integrated into the vehicle's electrical and also control architecture. That's why we develop directly with bus manufacturers itself. A good automated bus must be first a good bus, complete with redundant braking, steering, electrical systems. Working with manufacturers gives us all the full access of the vehicle's network, and that also ensures safety, that ensures warranty, compliance, and production quality. Another major difference is the passenger comfort. If you think about on a 30-foot or 40-foot bus, so above 6 meters, 8 meters, or 12-meter buses, even a small acceleration or deceleration change jerk can cause huge discomfort. So our motion planning algorithms are tuned to keep acceleration smooth and predictable for passengers. So, and also from an economic standpoint, full-size buses are far more feasible for automation. When you carry dozens of passengers, so the technology investment you make on top of the vehicle's cost, more feasible, more meaningful, more scalable, unlike with small shuttles that you carry or robotaxis that you carry 3 to 5 passengers.
Yeah, really interesting. And some interesting points too about passenger comfort that I think a lot of folks have not considered. Eran, coming to you here, Imagry takes a really unique vision-based approach to autonomy. Can you talk about how your system perceives and adapts to more complex urban environments and why that's particularly important in the context of public transit?
Right. Okay. Thank you. So indeed, we've been driving autonomously on public roads, mainly in complex urban environments since 2019, in the US, in Germany, in Japan, and in Israel. And during that time, we used the time in order to train using a methodology that is called supervised learning to train our neural networks, because the way that the system is built from an architecture standpoint is a distributed neural networks approach, in which many small neural networks were trained. Each one was trained individually on a different type of object in an urban environment. So, one was trained to look and do object detection and classification on street lights, and another one on traffic signs and on pedestrians and lanes and parked vehicles and moving vehicles and many different things that are happening, many small neural networks. And we have two types of cameras that feed everything into the system. One is these regular cameras, automotive grade, obviously, and the other one is thermal cameras for driving at night, because our buses, they sometimes drive 24/7. So during that time, we trained the systems on hundreds of millions of images in order for our system to be able to detect and understand everything that is happening on the road, especially given that unlike most in the industry, we do not use HD maps. So we drive like humans, basically, on the go, on the fly. We create while driving the map, the perception map around us, 360 degrees, 300 meters. And we drive by that, by understanding everything that is happening during the time with a very short latency, because latency here is the most important parameter of autonomous vehicle. So it takes a lot of effort and many years in order to be able to drive naturally like a human being in an urban environment. We test, for example, our buses through rigorous NCAP testing, which are 90 different scenarios of a bus, of autonomous bus driving from 30 to 60 kilometers per hour. And the bus needs to stop successfully in all possible scenarios where everything is jumping on the road and is happening on the road. And passing score is 100. You cannot fail even once. So after you do all of that with both passenger vehicles and buses for like 6 years in 4 different continents, you get to a level where the system is really driving like a human being, because it was trained like imitation-based learning, based not on unsupervised learning, where you don't know what the system is learning. We took the opposite approach. Yes, it takes a very long time, but the supervised learning makes sure that the driving would be natural, like a human, and very safe. So that was the long process that we took.
Fascinating. I want to switch gears a bit here and come back to you, Chris. Mobileye has obviously been a longtime leader in driver assist systems, but you've also kind of extended that technology into higher levels of automation. Can you talk about how your work in ADAS has informed your approach to automated transit?
Yeah. Yeah, like you say, Mobileye has been in the business of automation for more than 25 years. So now this higher level automation is really, for us, the natural evolution of what we've always done. There are 2 key enablers behind our approach. First, our deep passion for cutting edge technology. Our leadership, our top management includes AI pioneers who were shaping this field long before it became mainstream. And second, the ability to execute at scale. It's one thing to be a startup and to put a few hundred or even thousands of vehicles on the road. It's a very different thing to deliver products at automotive scale. Mobileye technology has been shipped to more than 50 automakers, launched in over 1,200 vehicle models since the early day of ADAS. And I think we shipped more than 200 million chips to date. And that's just the foundation we are building on as we now move towards driverless. And safety is at the core of everything that we are doing. But also equally important is scalability, global scalability, cost leadership, and automotive grade quality with very robust processes. And this is what Mobileye has been doing. It's I like to say it's our purpose, our mission, what people gets up in the morning. And it's why we are uniquely positioned to take full automation now from these kind of pilots to sustainable, trusted transit systems.
Definitely. And I appreciate your commentary on scalability. Of course, that's not an easy feat, but certainly something that Mobileye has accomplished. Cemre, coming back to you, we have seen automated transit pilots really worldwide, from Europe to Asia to even the Middle East. What are some international examples or lessons learned maybe that could help accelerate adoption in the US?
Yeah, it's a great topic because as ADASTEC, right now we have active deployments over 12 countries, from Norway to Germany, Netherlands to Sweden, Switzerland, Turkey, France, and the US. And also back in 2022, we deployed first level 4 automated bus in Europe, as well as back in 2021, first automated bus in Michigan for the US. So as ADASTEC, we developed one platform, but we integrated worldwide. So we use the same platform in Europe, in the US, and other locations we have. Of course, there are some minor tweaks based on the traffic rules, based on the local regulations, requirements. We change all these things, but also we have learned that a strong regulatory framework is quite important, such as, for example, there's a new regulatory framework in Europe that all buses have to comply with GSR. General Safety Regulation. So it have helped improve manufacturing quality and system validation, accelerating readiness of the technology for automation, the manufacturing readiness for the automation. So in the US, the similar horizon between regulators, OEMs, technology providers, operators also could play a key role in scaling deployments faster and more safely, especially if you think like that this is not a, this is not a technology that one company can do it by themselves. As ADASTEC, we developed the automated driving software, and we are more like a tier 1 to bus manufacturers. Then there are bus manufacturers. Then they have their own distributors. Then we have partnerships like PAVE or Applied Autonomy for different locations for fleet management and remote controlling. So this is a complete ecosystem, and each partner plays an important role.
Definitely. Yeah, this is certainly going to be a team effort if we're going to see this more widespread in the US. Now, I want to talk a little bit about sort of the human side of this and the workforce more specifically. Eran, automated transit obviously raises questions about how driver roles are going to evolve. How do you see this changing responsibilities of the existing transit workforce? And is this technology really more about replacing or augmenting humans' work?
So that's a very common topic currently. We handle, we work with municipalities and with public transportation operators and with regulators in the markets that we work at. And, it always gets into the discussion about, okay, so what's going to happen with the workforce and stuff like that. And by the way, we indeed published this week an article, you can see it on our website and on our LinkedIn, of how autonomy is redefining jobs in public transit. So the way that we see it is basically that roles are changing. And they are not necessarily being eliminated, but they are simply changing. So for example, currently there is a global shortage of about 20% of bus drivers. In some markets, it's even worse, like in Japan, where it can get to 35 and 40% even in some cities. And given urbanization and aging and stuff like that, you see an unprecedented pressure on public transit operators to provide service that they cannot provide because they don't have drivers. So first of all, in many cases, it's not about replacing jobs, but in fact, solving a problem that exists in the market because the young generation, Gen Z, is not going to drive commercial vehicles, trucks and buses. So that's one thing. And as for drivers themselves, what we see is that sometimes you change the roles. So for example, even though the bus drivers in our level 4 buses, M3 category, big buses, 8 meters, 10 meters, 12 meters in the US, that you don't need a driver because the bus is level 4, still you need someone in the bus sometimes to provide service. Now that person doesn't have to be a certified bus driver. It could be almost anyone, as long as they have the attitude and the approach to serving, the public. So and you need people in the control centers, and you need all kinds of people to maybe at the bus stops, because we are still at that stage where the most important thing now for all of us here is to educate the public, right? It's a big change. And we see people in the cities that we work at that are still afraid on getting on a bus without a driver. So that's another thing that needs to be taken into account. And so I think that this is vital for inclusivity and public confidence, basically to know that the positions are changing. They are not eliminated. And last example that I'll give is that for example, in last mile delivery trucks, those poor drivers that now need to drive the vehicle, and on top of driving, they need to hand off the packages to the doorstep. Now, what companies are doing with autonomous last mile delivery trucks is that you can replace that driver just with someone that will simply take off the packages of the vehicle. So that burden of driving the vehicle within an urban environment from point to point based on the map where the packages needs to be delivered was taken off. And it's a much better job now for the person at the vehicle. So we see it. We don't see really a objection because we solve a problem that exists globally.
Absolutely. Yeah, I'm glad you brought up the driver shortage. That's of course something that we're seeing in the long haul trucking world as well, and automation can really close some of those gaps that we're experiencing. I want to talk about another sort of hot topic, which is accessibility. And that's really been one of the promises of automation. So, Chris, can you talk about how automated transit can help expand mobility options for those who might face barriers such as seniors or folks with disabilities?
Yeah, sure. Yeah, for me, accessibility always has two key aspects. I think the first one, automation can make public transport viable in places where it simply doesn't exist today. There are these on-demand ride-pooling concepts, or even with new fixed or flexible lines, a public transit company now can connect underserved neighborhoods directly to train stations or other hubs, providing coverage where traditional fixed roads aren't practical and economically unviable. And I think that's one of the opportunities that we are definitely seeing, and the demand that we're seeing in the market. And the second point is the more exciting one. It's that automation lets us rethink really vehicles themselves. Today is all of these concepts, cars, designs are built around the human driver. And once you remove now the steering wheel and the pedals, you can create totally new purpose-built vehicles with accessibility at the core. A great example is our HOLON Urban Mover. It's an autonomous shuttle with a low floor, a wide door, and a ramp for wheelchairs and strollers and alike. And there's no steering wheel. And these kind of new purpose-built vehicles paired with flexible ride pooling, for example, they can just pick up passengers up right at the doorstep. And this kind of design makes mobility much more inclusive for seniors, people with disabilities, in the end, helping create a much more equitable transportation system.
Yeah, it's great to see accessibility really prioritized in some of these purpose-built vehicles when you can sort of rethink what, was once more a traditional approach. Cemre, one of PAVE's core beliefs is that automated driving really won't succeed without public confidence. How do you approach building public trust and acceptance in some of these new mobility technologies?
It's a great question because it's also relevant to the previous last two questions and the answers. And also, as ADASTEC, we have a different approach to, especially for purpose-built vehicles. So the public acceptance is very critical and important, and it might be the biggest barrier in front of this technology, because trust starts with transparency and also consistency. So in all of our deployments, passengers can see and experience the technology. We operate on public roads, open routes, where people can ride and observe the system's behavior firsthand. And the goal is to make automation understandable, predictable, and not mysterious. So from a public acceptance perspective, full-size buses actually have a big advantage. They're familiar, they're traditional, they're conventional. People recognize them as traditional transit buses, vehicles with a driver's seat, with a steering wheel. That familiarity helps communities feel comfortable with automation. For example, we still have safety drivers as of today. To build that public trust also, of course, there are several other components, but also to build that public trust. All of our buses are dual mode, capable of switching between manual and automated mode, just like turning on and off the adaptive cruise control. So this also gives transit agencies more flexibility and helps integrate automation gradually without disrupting their daily operations. Every vehicle we have, they're built with redundant lidars, cameras, radar systems, ensuring fail-safe operation in all weather, all road conditions. This this consistency and reliability are what build long-term confidence. So we also, to build that also public trust, we communicate, we engage directly with public through community events, trade shows, expos, university partnerships to explain how the technology works. Once people ride and experience the smooth, calm operation for themselves, once they feel that that ride is boring, they quickly see the automation isn't replacing transit, it's enhancing its safety, accessibility, and reliability. So ultimately, trust grows through real-world experiences, real pilots, real deployments on public roads in mixed traffic. So the more people see automated buses perform safely day after day, the more they begin trust and accept this technology.
Yeah, absolutely agree. We certainly find that more exposure definitely leads to more trust when it comes to these new technologies, and also appreciate what you said about transparency. I think that's really important as well. One more question here, coming back to you, Eran, looking maybe 5 or 10 years out, how do you see automation fitting into sort of the broader public transportation ecosystem? And what milestones or breakthroughs do you think will really define the next phase of progress?
So we believe that 5 to 10 years from now, in the broader public transportation, what we'll see is mass scale of autonomous buses and robo shuttles. These are two domains that we are currently active at, and we have customers in different countries where we provide either M3 category buses or passenger vehicles that will be by early 2026, mid 2026, or even into 2027, level 4, full level 4, like driverless, without a driver near the steering wheel. We see it happening, and we see it happening everywhere, simply because of the fact that every month you see another city somewhere getting into it. So eventually, let's say within 2 years, these pilots will end, and public transportation operators will start ordering masses, like volumes of buses. We see it also with the bus operators side. Currently, we work with 6 different bus manufacturers. We work with Austrian and Spanish and Chinese and Japanese and American and Turkish bus manufacturers. And we see more and more coming into the play because they understand that this is going to be a large market with a very high demand, driven by governments because they want to remove passenger vehicles from city centers and reduce, road congestions and green and sustainability and that stuff. They want to provide better service to the public, and with autonomous buses 24/7, you can just operate them only with the 2 hours of charging that you need per day. You can operate them all day long and add to your top line as a public transportation operator because you earn by mileage that is being driven, basically. So it's very good business also for the public transportation operator. It won't happen overnight. And again, there is a big factor here of educating the public to use those services. But given the increased safety, which is the most important thing, right, for everyone, for passengers, and reducing accidents, and we talked here about how comfortable it is and the better service. So this will be mainstream We have no doubt of it.
Really great points. We are out of time, sadly. I know we could go on for much longer, but thank you all so much for taking the time to join us today. Thank you to our panelists for sharing their expertise. Like I said, we will be posting the full video recording on our YouTube channel and website later today. So follow us on social media to see that as soon as it's released, as well as some other upcoming panels we have. So thanks again, everybody. We appreciate your participation.
Thank you.
Thanks
Bye,
so
everyone.
much.